where'd you guys go, and kind of what was your mission there?
Yeah, mission was awesome. It was my first ever mission trip outside of the country. So we went to Honduras, Tegucigalpa. Little district central is kind of where our base was. But we ended up going to a place called Grace Farm.
Our mission was to go out and initially hand out food, but we used that food to launch us into sharing the gospel with these families, and they were so excited to see us, excited to hear the gospel. So it was just very impactful for me to see those families and how they were touched by the small act of love of food, and then after that, sharing the gospel.
One person that really stuck with me, I think his name was Jesus or something like that. He was native to the country. He was a real cool dude. He was going through a lot though at the moment, and he really needed some guidance when it came to the gospel. So really got to talk to him, get to know him, and just pray over him, and it really touched him. He started crying, and he said he needed that. So yeah, I met some good people out there.
So I've been probably on 12 to 15 mission trips over my life. This was by far the best one. And so I've shared that with people all across the state and even the southeastern country. And they asked me the same, so why? Why was it so special? First of all, to be able to stay at an orphanage and to be able to hang out with the kids in the evening time, have dinner and lunch with them was really, really cool. But during the day, we were able to go minister, do some food ministry, and do some sharing of the gospel of Jesus. And so the opportunity to kind of combine all three of those was just really, really special.
And one thing, you go down there to kind of minister to these people, and it's like you don't realize, like I walked into these houses and I saw broken people, broken homes, broken families, and people that just had a lot of stuff wrong with them. And we're here preaching to them, and I kind of saw myself in these people. Like, I mean, I'm coming here and I'm not grateful for anything that I have. I'm the broken one. I'm the one that's learning stuff from these people. And so that's one thing that I just thought was crazy about this trip, was how going and ministering to these people really made it be like, okay, I need to look at myself in the mirror, what I'm doing.
I got to see two instances in the home. One of them was actually a girl who we got to pray for, who had been a part of the church, and then her father passed away 2 years ago, and she just prayed over us to receive Christ back, and wanted to know the steps to get back into the church and back into the ministry, which was a really cool thing to be a part of.
I kind of got attached to this kid named Wilson, who was just the biggest bundle of joy, and we just ran around. I probably spent hours with him on my shoulders at the farm, just hanging out with him. So he's the biggest blessing in my life, and I have a video of him on my phone just running around, and I still look at it to this day because it just brings me joy to see the joy on his face.
We did our little missionary stuff there every night, where we sat down as a group and sort of talked about God and talked about what we saw today and what all we had experienced. And when I say those stories were as powerful as anything that I've ever been a part of, there were tears from grown men. It's laughter in the same sentence. Those guys were definitely touched by God, and because of that, it allowed me to open up and have tears and have joy. And one guy in particular, Casey, has left a moment on my life. His story was phenomenal.
Really, for me, it was a spiritual revival. We all have our own trials and tribulations when it comes with our walk with God, and I felt like I wasn't doing my part in that relationship, and I left Honduras with a refreshed heart, and I felt myself getting closer with God, just like these people in Honduras were.
Well, while we're at this one lady's house, she's kind of reluctant for us praying over her, but then we talked her into letting us pray for her, and then in the back room, she said her mom was very sick and stuff, and she was deaf. So then we went over back down to her room, and we started praying over her. And then as we're praying over her, she started reciting what we were saying, and then she was communicating with us after we prayed with her, even though she was deaf. So it was kind of like a calling from God, that God was telling her what we were praying over her for and telling her, which was pretty amazing. At the very end of the mission trip, we kind of told how we've met God to all the local children. So I told them my story, being a 2-time cancer survivor, and I told them that God's not going to put anything on your shoulders that you can't handle, and then as long as you have God in your heart and God in your mind, you can get through anything you want.
Stan, I met Stan, who was, the coolest guy there, obviously. So, he's a light, and just to see his passion for, everybody that he comes in contact with was just, is inspiring to see, and I loved his energy. I loved how he's, he's actually, he stood on, something like ledge or something and just spread the gospel in a community square. And so seeing his boldness in Christ and his ability to empathize with those people around him, actually it was very inspiring to see. He's great with the guitar, he's great with kids, he's great with adults, he's great with everybody. And so just seeing that light that he had and being able to shine and serve the Lord and be obedient to the Lord's calling to stay in Honduras and be faithful to the Lord and trust in him for everything you have, it was inspiring for me to see.
Yeah, so the highlight of my trip was being able to personally lead a couple of young ladies to Jesus. And so to be able to share the gospel, let them understand the gospel, break the language barrier, be able to help them with some food, and then them say, hey, I want to know Jesus. I want to know that Jesus is within you, and us be able to lead them through prayer to Jesus was just a blessing and something I'll never forget. So when we go back and look at this trip and think about the success that we feel like it had, I really want to give Stan a shout out over in Camp Grace. And what you're doing and the heart that you serve with really, really spoke to me. And God has blessed you because of that, man. So keep doing what you're doing. And for Tommy and Dan for organizing this and our trip with our guys from Birmingham, you guys were super special, man. I've kept up with each one of you as we have come back from Honduras, and it was an incredible team, man. Blessed to be a part of it.